In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home. Love, sweet love, it's you I'm dreaming of every moment with you.
Chuck relaxed in his swivel chair. He had been in his study for the better part of the morning, trying to make head and tail of the financial report Uche emailed him for the upcoming shareholders meeting. He dropped the report and stared at his phone and realized the call made him feel better. Before, he had always received calls from women while grimacing, but for the first time in his life, he truly loved being called just to find out if he got home okay. He shook his head in self-pity. He had it pretty bad for her, and it made him even more eager for the evening to come. At last, he would find out if it was just sex, or if what he felt for her was more. Feeling rejuvenated, he went back to his laptop. Helen sat in front of the female doctor, very nervous. The woman, seeming to notice her nervousness, smiled at her as if to reassure her. The doctor leaned forward. I have to ask you a few questions to determine exactly what kind of amnesia we're dealing with here. Okay? Helen smiled at her and clenched her fingers. Do you remember events that had happened since the amnesia? Yes, I have all my memories of what happened since I woke up on the streets. Okay? So we rule out anti-retrograde amnesia. From all you have said, it would be safe to say you have what we call retrograde amnesia. Usually, amnesia is caused by these three factors: head injury, or when a patient sees something so harrowing that the mind can't cope with. Lastly, brain damage. In your case, I can safely say it was either caused by what you saw or you were injured while you were being tortured. So I'll ask you to take an MRI test. If I take this test, what then? Helen asked. If you take the test and the result comes clean, then there is little to be done. The thing with amnesia is that there is no medication. The brain remembers when it is ready, though there are a few things that can be done. Things like what? In your case, we don't have a caregiver, someone who knew you before. It helps if you're around people, places and things you knew. Then again, some experts think that consuming food rich in thiamine for the kind of amnesia caused by excessive alcohol consumption will help. But in your case, I don't think that is applicable. Maybe I was an alcoholic, Helen joked. So far, the doctor has not said anything helpful. Has not told her she was going to get her memories back. The doctor smiled at her joke. In that case, I'll ask you to consume whole grain cereals, legumes, beans, nuts, and lean pork. Helen heaved a sigh. Doctor, I have read that most people with my kind of amnesia remember after a few months. Mine has stayed for 3 years, and I'm very worried. I think there is something else wrong. There is really no time limit to remembering. It could be days, months, or years. Like I said, the mind remembers when it is ready. Another factor may be that you have no one to remind you, to help you remember. So you are saying it's perfectly normal, that there is no complications I should be concerned about. The MRI test will reveal if there is any, the doctor said calmly. So I might have to go another 3 years without my memories because there is no one from my past to help me. It doesn't usually work that way. Amnesia is a tricky business, and even those with family members take years sometimes. But don't you have flashes? You say you saw and sketched. Surely they trigger some memories? Yes, but they are too fast, too short, and too disoriented to make any meaning. It's a start, Helen. Don't miss any flash. Hold on to it. Dissect it. Document then. All you need is something to trigger the memory. Thank you, doctor, Helen said and got to her feet. I will schedule your MRI test for beginning of next week. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. He smiled back at her and left. Helen entered her studio feeling disappointed, but she didn't have to. She never believed the doctor was a miracle worker. She had thought there was some medication, some therapy that could trigger her mind into remembering. She sighed and sat down. She wasn't going to get any work done, she realized. She was better off home where she could rest her mind and think of her next step. She looked at her studio. She was a seamstress before she lost her memories, yet none of it seemed familiar to her. She could sketch very well, not just clothes, but people and things, yet they don't seem to jog her memories. If these two habits from her past didn't help, couldn't help, then what would? She asked, feeling very sad. Helen got up and paced. The doctor said to dissect her flashes. Maybe when next she had another memory flash, she would document it. That way she might be able to help herself. Feeling somehow relieved, she picked up her bag ready to go home. There was one thing to look forward to, she reminded herself happily. A quiet evening with music and Chinese food with the love of her life. She sighed dreamily, leaving the office. Helen ran up the short stairs leading to her house, feeling elated and excited. She glanced at her watch. In a few hours, Chuck would be here, she thought. She had enough time to take a scented bath, wear something soft and beautiful, and change her makeup to a light one. He wanted sexy, but she was not about to give him what he got from his other women. She was going for soft, delicate and simple, and beautiful. She knew the right attire in her wardrobe that would suit that perfectly. She pushed her keys into the lock and found out the door was already open. She had locked it before leaving. She tried to remember. She was never careless with these sort of things. Who could be in her house? She thought. Had Chuck thought of surprising her? He didn't have her keys, and she didn't beg him to be that romantic. Could it be? No, no one has found her. She was still safe. The man who recognized her last night was. She stopped. She should look for that man. He seemed like a regular in that restaurant. She would have to find out who he was and how he knew her. Summoning her will and strength, she pushed open the door, and what she saw took her breath away. It was like a hurricane had passed through her house. Everything was broken and upturned. Someone had searched through this house. Scared beyond reason, she stood transfixed on the spot while her mind screamed at her to run. Then she turned to run and saw three men across the road, waiting for a lull in the traffic so they could cross. She knew immediately that they were coming for her. Helen watched the men with horror. There was nowhere to run, and there was no one around. Everyone was either at work or at school. She was alone and helpless. What to do, what to do? Her mind chanted with alarms as she took the first steps down the stairs. Running to the back will only trap her. Running to the street was her only escape route. She was about to make a run for it when she saw Chuck's car glide to a stop, and Helen's horror increased. Chuck cannot be a part of this. She stopped. She knew if she ran, the men would give chase and so would Chuck. And in order to get her, they would hurt him or kill him. If she stayed, she could quietly go with them and lie to Chuck that it is work-related. She knew she would have the time of the day convincing him to let her go with them. But she would even if she had to hurt him to save his life. So she stayed put and waited and prayed Chuck would believe her fib and let her go with them willingly. They would kill her, she thought. They have tried before and failed. But this time around she knew they would succeed because she would rather die than have Chuck become a part of this. She would rather die than live in a world where he no longer existed. Remember me? She thought as she braced herself for what she knew would be a performance of a lifetime. Chuck crossed the road, but the men didn't cross. Rather, they got back into their car and left. Helen was too shocked and too confused to feel relieved. "Hi, babe." Helen was still staring at the tail end of the car as he drove away, trying to make head of what happened. "Helen?" Chuck called. She looked up startled and tried to smile. "What are you doing here so early?" she asked as another round of panic hit her. She didn't want Chuck seeing her house the way it was. She didn't know how she was going to explain it to him. "I called you severally to ask what you really wanted me to get. When you didn't answer, I called Uma and she said you had to leave early because you were feeling ill." "Oh, it was just a headache. I needed to rest." "You are sure?" he asked, concerned. When he heard she was ill, he had become worried, so worried that he had to come and see her. Not just to see her, but to take care of her. "I am fine. I just have this persistent headache." "Nothing a good rest won't cure." She smiled at him, warming all over when she noticed how concerned he was about her. "Okay, rest it is, come on," Chuck said, leading the way. "What about the takeout? Shouldn't we go and get it?" she asked, stalling. "We can have it delivered." "Well, I just got back, haven't even gotten inside at all, and I'm very hungry. We should go get something to eat, then I will rest." Helen didn't know how her delay tactics would help. Even if he agreed to go get something to eat, they would still have to come back here, and then it would be worse because he would know she was deceiving him. Helen thought in panic, her mind racing for a solution. Unless there was a way she could convince him to take her to his house instead. Why there? She could come up with a believable fib to go home alone. "You haven't been inside, are you sure?" Chuck said, looking at her door. Helen turned to look at the door and saw her mistake. She had been caught in her lie. Her door was open. She looked at him guiltily. "Why did you come back early, Helen?" All traces of concern gone. Instead was anger like she had never seen before. "I told you I wasn't feeling too well," she said defensively. "Okay, let's go inside then." He smiled, but the smile was overlaid with an emotion she couldn't fathom, but was very afraid of. "Don't," she said, not realizing she said it aloud. She didn't want him becoming a part of this. She didn't want him in harm's way. Yet, there was nothing she could seem to do about it. He thought she was hiding something. Then it dawned on her. The feeling she couldn't fathom was nothing but jealousy, pure and simple. It was odd, but she felt elated that he was jealous. It meant he cared. It meant he wanted her exclusively for himself. But no matter how nice the feeling was, she could not let it be. If he looked into her house, he would become a part of something so dangerous that it might claim his life. "Who have you got in there, Helen? Your afternoon treat? I am supposed to be your evening treat?" She stared at him and said what she knew would destroy any feelings he may have for her. "I am sorry, Chuck. I wasn't expecting you this early." She watched with pleading heart as the meaning of her words hit home, and his face turned into a mask of grey night. "I see. One last thing though. I am very curious." And before she could stop him, he took the 2 remaining stairs and opened her door. "Chuck, no, don't!" She screamed and ran after him. But it was too late. He was staring at her whole house with confusion. Helen couldn't help the tears that rushed down her face. Now they would come after him too. She knew Chuck wouldn't leave this alone. "You have to leave now. You have to go back to London. There they won't get to you. You have to leave now." She tried to turn him around and drag him to his car, but he wouldn't have it. He shook her hands off. "What's going on, Helen? Who are they?" "I don't know," she sobbed. but I know they are dangerous. They have found me. Please leave. Chuck knew he wasn't going to get any answer from her. In her state of mind, he decided to call a friend. Who are you calling? She asked. A friend in the police? Are you out of your mind? Do you really want to be a part of this? Don't you get it? They would cut whatever and whoever stand in their way.
In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home. Love, sweet love, it's you I'm dreaming of. Every moment with you feels like a gift from above.